and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book Never Quit on a Bad Day, no other than Miss Phoebe Trotman.
Hi, Daniel. How are you? It's great to be here with you
Ah,
today.
yes, welcome, Miss Phoebe on Abstract Essay once again. I'm fabulous and excellent, and thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a speaker. I'm an author of the Never Quit on a Bad Day book series, a resilience mentor, and a former elite athlete. And so I've had an incredible journey in the sports world, transitioned over as an entrepreneur. And now I'm just grateful to be able to share a lot of the lessons I've learned from sport as a business owner into helping individuals create a life of, step into their greatness. I'm all about resilience, growth, and greatness.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you for never quitting. I like that, Miss Phoebe. So the first Never Quit book featured thriving entrepreneurs and business leaders, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so it's the first book that was released in the Never Quit on a Bad Day series. Incredible stories of resilience featuring amazing entrepreneurs and people who have gone through journeys just like all of us. And really, the goal of all the books in the Never Quit on a Bad Day series is to help people. I believe we're all way more strong, like stronger than we realize. We are more capable than we realize. Sometimes we just need a little reminder, and so the stories are really designed to help you remember how strong you really are and just to give you some tips to navigate through some of the challenges, the obstacles, the bumps along the way as you're going after your goals and dreams.
Yes, and thank you for sharing to the world, Miss Phoebe. So, what was the specific gap you noticed? What could athlete teach readers about resilience that business leaders simply could not?
Well, it's not a matter of business leaders simply cannot. It's just other stories, right? So this book featuring stories from accomplished athletes really just shares their story, and similar to the first book in the sense that it's everyone has their own definition of what bad is, right? That's all relative to what some person might think as bad in this terms of a set block. Someone else might look at it as a setup for something else. And so this book really just features other stories from elite athletes who have gone through their own challenges, had to navigate through what did they learn along the way so that it can help every single person can benefit from these books. It's really not a matter of, well, if you're an entrepreneur, read the book featuring entrepreneurs, and if you're an athlete, read the book featuring athletes. It's really if you're a person who has goals and dreams that you want to accomplish, or if you're feeling stuck along the way, or maybe you're doing great and you want to keep going. That's what these books are for, to encourage you, to give you tools that you can keep in your toolbox so that when you encounter a challenge or a struggle, maybe now you can just look at it a little bit differently so that it can empower you to continue to move one foot in front of the other.
You could have a written memoir about your own incredible career. Half of Fame inductee, Vancouver Whitecaps, playing all boys teams when that was unheard of. Instead, you build a platform to amplify other athletes' voices. Why was the right decision, and what did that it cause you to stay into the background?
Well, I believe we can learn so much from everyone's stories. Like everybody on this earth has something that we can teach and we can give and contribute. And so I thought, I wanted to shine a light of some of the people who have inspired me along my own journey, some of the people I've looked up to, and just to have other people's perspectives because I really believe there's power in collective wisdom. And yes, sure, could I write a book and it could all be about myself? Absolutely. However, it might not hit certain readers in the same way as having a book that features stories from different athletes or different business owners and them sharing their challenges, that a reader can pull something from every single book because there's going to be a story that's going to connect with someone depending where they're at in that journey. And what's beautiful about the books is you can pick them up later in life, and what you picked up the first time that you read it, now you're a little bit further along in your journey, another story might be the story that you really connect with, or another lesson in the reflections on resilience might be that what you need right at that moment. And so that's really why I wanted to have multiple contributors share their stories, so that someone who picks it up, regardless of where you're at in the journey, whether you're just getting started, whether you're a little bit more seasoned, you will find something in this book to encourage you and to inspire you and to help you along your own journey.
Certainly, Miss Phoebe. Carl Valentine, a Canada Soccer Hall of Fame member, wrote the foreword. What did you ask him specifically to speak to, and what this presence signaled the readers about the incredibility or the credibility you were trying to build?
Well, Carl is just such an incredible person and contributor to the community in terms of what he does with the Whitecaps, his own career as well. And I remember when I was playing for the Whitecaps, I've always looked up to Carl Valentine. And so when I decided to start the Never Quit on a Bad Day book series, I knew that I wanted to have a book that features stories from elite athletes. And right away, Carl was the first person who came across my heart. And I'm just grateful to him and all the other contributors who were open to sharing. And so I really just asked Carl to share, what his version of Never Quit on a Bad Day, share a moment. And then I let him, take it away from there and share with the readers what he felt he wanted to contribute as well, too. And so it's a beautiful forward about a challenge that he endured as well, and how he moved through it and how he grew from it. And so that's why I say the book really is filled with, both books, all the books are filled with stories that from just great people who share a little bit of their kind of journey, just a little snippet of their journey as well.
Interesting, Miss Phoebe. The phrase never quit on a bad day is a trademark, isn't it? This is a deliberate business decision, not just a title. At what point did you realize this is what not just a book, but a platform? And what did you have to learn about intellectual property and branding that you never anticipated as an athlete?
Well, when I decided to write a book, period, first, I knew I wanted to write it because of the timing of it. It was about a month or so after one of the inductions for the Hall of Fame, and there was a conversation we had, and in that I realized that I've learned so much along my journey, and a lot of it has come through some of the challenges that I've gone through and grown through. And so when I realized that that's what I wanted to write a book about, to highlight some of the challenges that people go through, so that other people can realize they're not alone in their struggles and their challenges. And so I wanted to title it Never Quit on a Bad Day. That's what popped up. And so once I kind of set on the name and realized the domain was available, then I decided, and as I sat with it, I realized it was more than just one book. It really was a book series, and it really is a movement to help people understand what does never quit on a bad day, and what does that mean to you, because everybody has their own definition, again, or own kind of frame of reference of what bad is. So what does that look like? How can you be equipped for, so that when you face maybe a challenge, you can move through it, you can grow through it. And so I reached out to my business lawyer, we had a conversation about it, and definitely she's been amazing in guiding me, as well as my trademark agent has helped with guiding through the process of that too, because it is a saying that I want to help more people hear, understand, learn about, and embrace, so that they can also move forward, like, with their dreams and goals, and to be encouraged to never quit on a bad day.
Very well said, Miss Phoebe. A book with multiple contributors can feel like conference program, disjointed and even lacking narrative gravity. Your book received consistent praise for its cohesion. Walk me through your editorial architecture, and what was the template you gave very athlete to ensure their story serve the whole, not just themselves?
Yeah, so what I did with, the first book and the second book is really it was about interviewing the athletes and the entrepreneurs, and so some of the interviews we did on Zoom, some of them was kind of a form of questions that I asked them to get their story, to kind of pull it out of them. And then what I did with my editor and myself is we took all their answers and their stories and the tips that they shared, and then we put it together in a story format. I love to read. I love to read stories. I love to learn from other people. And so my goal with it was really to make sure that you heard the contributor's voice when you're reading that story, that you could pull a lesson out of it. And then the way the book's set up is it's done by chapters, which each chapter finishes with a section called Reflections on Resilience. And that's where I sort of share a little bit of insight of the story and how a lesson that the reader can apply to their own life. It really, the books are really designed to read, but also write. So have a pen in hand. That way you can answer those questions while you're going through it. And we really, it was fun putting it together because as I was interviewing the athletes and the entrepreneurs, and there would be different themes that would just pop up in my head. And I was like, oh, that's the lesson. And I'd write it down. And then when we would put it all together, it just flowed really beautifully. And then it was a matter of just organizing the stories in what order would help kind of the reader go through it if they decided to read cover to cover, but also making sure each chapter is a standalone chapter. So you can really open it up to any chapter, read that story, or you can read it cover to cover.
Very well said, Miss Phoebe. Andrea Neal's story is cited by multiple reviews as particularly powerful. One said it reframes what would even call a bad day without revealing her private story. What made her contribution so structurally different from others, and how did they decide to position it within the book sequence?
One of the things, I mean, Andrea is a dear a friend, a teammate of mine, and she just her story, I love. I mean, I love all the stories, and one of the things with Andrea's story that really did jump out is, as you said, how the word bad, like we get to decide what is bad, and I think that just shines so much in her story because when you read her story and you learn about some of the things that she had to go through and grow through, I always like to say, and then her perspective on it is massive, and I just feel like when someone reads this story. And even as a teammate and friend of Andrea's, I didn't even know some of what she went through because we connected later in life in soccer. And so to hear that and just it really made me understand her a bit more and the incredible human that she is because of how she's been able to look at the word bad and how she's been able to frame that up for herself and what does that truly mean to her. And so her chapter really, when people read it, my goal that they take away from it is like, okay, how can my perspective on something that situation is the situation that happens, how can what I how I view it, how can that impact what I do next from it, how I take away from it, how I respond to it. And that's really what Andrew's chapter is big about, is that perspective.
Perspective indeed. This one reviewer noted that each chapter includes reflections on resilience and the action steps. This is a pedagogical choice, not just inspirational one. Who pushed you to include these actions? An editor, a reader, or your own experiences as a coach? And what did you fight to keep out them?
Well, I wanted to have something where a reader would enjoy the story and then also have some practical application, something tangible that they can really take away and apply right then to their life. And so that was really a big goal of mine. One of the things when I have the opportunity to speak and do trainings, that's always been in my core is to coach, right? I'm a soccer coach as well. And so I love to be able to help people by sharing, yes, an experience, but also what's a takeaway that you can apply to your own life. And that's really what the reflections on resilience is all about. It's like you've read this story from a person. Now let's pause and let's hear some prompt questions that you can think about and simmer on and reflect in your own journey so that now you can be more equipped as you go forward with experiences, life, goal setting, challenges, all that it comes with. Now you can be a little bit more prepared because yes, you read a story. More importantly, you've been able to now apply the lesson from that story to your own life.
Certainly, the book includes QR codes linking to additional content from each athlete. These technologically simple but logistically complex. How did you persuade a group of elite athletes, people whose time is extraordinarily scarce, to participate in a project that required ongoing digital engagement, not just one time interview?
Well, when I shared with the athletes kind of my vision for the books to have a part of it where they could actually hear from the athlete. And when I say hear from the athlete, yes, the story is written, so you're hearing from them in that way, but actually to be able to see them, have an extra little message of encouragement. All the athletes said yes. They were like, absolutely. And it's such a nice little, I call it like the little icing on the cake. You've read this story, and then now you have a chance to scan a QR code and right on your phone, you have another message from that athlete about their story, maybe a tip of encouragement. It could be another strategy. Every message is different. And I told everyone, I said, hey, they're like, well, what do you want me to say? I said, whatever you feel called to say, whatever's on your heart, that's the message that to share. And so they all agreed to record it. It's such a nice little treat. And I always want to reiterate to people, keep in mind that QR code message is not just them talking about their story. It can be something totally different, another bonus little message. So I encourage everyone to scan the QR codes because there's a chance also to hear right from that person. You get a chance, eye contact, if you will, because they're looking at you in the camera and they're just sharing another little message. And so again, I'm so grateful to all the contributors who said yes to this book to help. And it just speaks volumes to who they are as people and the legacy and what they're creating.
The legacy indeed. You have written that we all have the power to choose, and this is these choices that champions are made. The framing places agency, not circumstance, at the center. Across all those athletes you interviewed, what is the most surprising choice someone made, or one that contradicted and conventional grit narrative?
That's a great question. I don't know if anything really surprised me per se. I know one of the things that I loved about it was with the books is how much it just reiterated and reminded me of the and hopefully the reader takes this away, the importance of a great support system. Having those people around you who will remind you of your goals and dreams, remind you of what you're capable of, and really encourage you to focus on that ultimate goal and dream that you have and keep working towards it. Even when you may not see the progress that you want to see right away, it's the hard work that's done behind the scenes. And that's one thing that came across with all the athletes in interviewing them is the extra work that they put in behind the scenes when no one was watching because they had a goal in mind. And so they kept working towards it and they had bumps in the road. It wasn't for all the athletes, it wasn't this smooth path of, hey, you made the team, you're the star, keep going. Everything is like perfectly, gold plated runway for you. It wasn't like that for all of them. Every single one of them had an obstacle, had a setback, if you will, and air, had something that didn't take them from one point A to point B in a smooth line. There were crooked, there were bumps, there was all of it. Yet they kept going forward. And I think that was one of the things that just it spoke volumes again to who they are is because it wasn't a smooth path. And oftentimes it isn't a smooth path for anyone. And so that's really where they shine because they kept going and then they have the results to prove it.
One reviewer said the book helped them realize that bad days are given and, dare I say, required for growth. This is a radical reframing. Did any of the athletes you interviewed initially resist sharing their darkest moments? And how do you help them to see that the wound, not a medal, was the actually give to the reader?
Well, I left it open for the athletes to share, what is one of the questions is like share a bad day or a bad experience or a bad moment. And so I let the athletes share with myself for this book whatever they wanted to share. So it really wasn't because one of the things I'm a big believer. I mean, we have multiple bad days and bad moments, if you will. It's not just there's one. So I wanted them to just share whatever was on their heart, whatever they felt comfortable sharing, and it really worked out well because all the stories are very different in the sense that it's not just a kind of a one theme, this happened and it's all the same. It's very different because again, bad is all relative to the individual. It's their perspective. And so I think we do grow from all of our challenging experiences. That being said, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, right? You got to work through it to get kind of almost to the other side before you might even feel okay to share it. I've shared on a couple podcasts that I've done in the last year, like 2 years, like the last couple years have been extremely, extremely challenging. And I've shared some pieces of it, but there's so much more. But I'm not ready to share all of that at this moment in time. So I share some of the other tough things. And I think that's totally okay because we want to share when we can come from a place of this is what I experienced. Here's what I've learned from it. Here's how I've grown from it versus when you're still in it and when it's still really raw and painful, that might not be the time right then and there to share.
Very well said, Miss Phoebe. You are a Hall of Fame athlete who become an author, who become a publisher. What did traditional publishing tell you explicitly or implicitly about whether a book like this deserved to exist? And what did you learn about gatekeeping by building your own gate?
Well, I think one of the things with being able to self-publish is you get to control the direction of where it goes. Now, as much as I have self-published this book, I've had an amazing team of people around to help me. My book designer, Margaret, who is incredible, who's helped in a collaboration with the covers for the book series and the interiors. I have an amazing editor, Melody, who helped with editing and putting the books together, incredible proofreader, Julie. So and then mentors who also have helped me in terms of the direction and suggestions and feedback. I have a team of people behind me, as well as close friends. My partner even has helped in terms of providing suggestions and feedback. So, one of the things I'm such a big believer, and it's probably because I've grown up playing soccer, of a team and having a team behind you because I just feel like we're so much stronger together. I can see things one way. And even sometimes it's like I might have a vision for something and then I'm starting to put it together and having feedback from someone else to go, okay, I understand what you're thinking. However, it's not transferring to this book in terms of the flow and being open to that. And so, being able to self publish has been fun. I've learned so much because, going from not knowing nothing about books other than reading a whole pile of them behind there and have another bookshelf over here. I didn't really know the steps. That being said, having amazing people around that I can ask them for feedback, I can ask them for guidance was what is really what you're looking at on the screen is a team of people, yes, the contributors, but also all the people who helped with actually putting it together. That is why the Never Quit on a Bad Day book series is getting the incredible reviews that it's received. It really is a team effort.
Team effort indeed. So you're now in a position where young athletes and their parents are coming to you for your guidance. What is the single question you ask for a young person to determine whether they have the resilience for elite sport, and what answer disqualifies them?
Well, I think number one, everyone's journey is a little bit different. And so when parents do ask me questions, I really just ask them a lot of questions as much as I can about their child in terms of, where they're at. What is it that they want ultimately? Because we can all have this idea of what the pinnacle of athletic success is. And for some, a small percentage will actually hit that. But there's so many other benefits that a child, an athlete can enjoy along the journey of athletics that my goal is really to help parents and athletes understand that it's bigger than just a medal. It's who you become, it's the life lessons that you learn in your sport that will set you up for success in every other area of your life. And so that's really what my when I'm talking to a parent, and again, it depends on the age of their child. It depends on, what does their child want? Does their child actually want it? Is it more they want it for their child? It's a whole conversation. And so it's really just about, I think, again, realizing that it's bigger than just an award. Yes, national championships are amazing. I'm so grateful to have experienced them with my awesome teammates. And but that being said, there's so many other things that I've gained as an athlete that when I feel like we can realize that and take a step back, now we're coming to someone participating in sport in a very different approach because we're looking at it as a bigger picture than just success from a accolades and awards and championship kind of standpoint.
Miss Phoebe, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season. Abstract poetry in its third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in fourth season, and food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101, love letters, a movie 101 review, music 101 in its fifth season, science 101, sex 101 fourth season. Spiritual Awakening 101, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101 on my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Phoebe, I have a new podcast coming, Sports 101. Would you be part of this podcast? And let's talk
I would
about your
absolutely.
journey.
Absolutely, Daniel. I would love to. And just congratulations to you on all that you're doing to just help people and inspire and encourage. I love your 101 series and everything that you're doing. So I would be honored to be on your Sports 101 podcast.
Thank you. I hope you will be my regular guest. And let's promote your advocacy over there. Let's promote your journey being an athlete. So, Miss Phoebe, my last question is 11 global ratings on Amazon, 10 written reviews for a book this well crafted. The number feels modest. What is your relationship with the gap between the quality of the work and visibility of the work? And how do you measure success when the market does not immediately validate you?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is going back to why did you create? Why did you create or work on what you're working on? And so for me, really the book series is to help, to inspire, to educate. And I'm always thinking, who's that one person who's reading this book that's going to help them along their journey? And how can that person, when they now go out in the world, what's the ripple effect and the impact that that person's going to have? And so to me, it's bigger than just reviews. Obviously, please, if you've read any of the Never Quit books, please write a review because it does
Yes,
help them.
please.
It does really help. That being said, I take so much joy and gratitude when I hear from people who say like, "Hey, I was, I was working out the other day and I was thinking never quit on a bad day." I had someone come up to me at the gym the other day and said that. Or when I, have someone say, "Hey, I read the book. I bought it from my niece or my cousin or whoever," and I've had people share that as well. And had a recent parent who said they were reading the book with their teenager. And so I take all of those, and rather than focus on just a number of reviews, I focus on the impact of those individuals, because every single person is a person who has their own community, their own network, their people that they're impacting. And so when I know that that's happening, that's what I take joy in. And so I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to getting this book out to more people. As I said, I was actually going through a really tough time when I released this book. I'm grateful for that season, and I'm still grateful that I did. That being said, I didn't do as much promotion as I did probably with the first one. And so I'm looking forward to kind of, now I'm back on the journey, and just continuing to get it out there in the hands of people, and letting them feel that impact so that they can continue to change their community too.
Very well said, Miss Phoebe. Very well said, and congratulations. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
Absolutely. Well, I'd love for people head over to my website, neverquitonabadday.com. You can, I have a new book coming, and you'll get a sneak peek of it when you head over to the website. We can connect on socials as well. Never Quit on a Bad Day, always sharing inspiring tips, suggestions, strategies, ways to level up in your life and create a stronger, more joyful you.
Well, people, let's support Miss Phoebe Trotman, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books like this do come. So, Miss Phoebe, as one of my amazing guests this week, I need to ask one more question. There is a teenager right now, a girl playing on an all-boys team, just like you did, who feels invisible, exhausted, and uncertain of she belongs. She will never meet Andrea Neal. She will never meet Carl Valentine. But she meet you, hold your boot. What is the sentence you might to leave in the silence? Not to promise her it will be easy, but prepare for her of what no one prepared for you before.
I would tell her that you absolutely belong. You're there for a reason. Keep working hard, keep going. And remember, you're just a little bit you're earlier on the journey, but the journey it will be tough, but it absolutely will be worth it. So keep going, keep going, keep going. We are all cheering you on. We've been there and we appreciate where you're at and it gets better and better every single day. So keep going.
Keep going, people. Thank you for that empowering answer, Miss Phoebe. Please, people, tune in. Miss Phoebe will my regular guest on Sports 101 for sure. Let's empower people all over the world like Miss Phoebe's doing right now. So, Miss Phoebe, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Take care.
What people, see you soon.